we do that. Teach you how to rise to the occasion. Teach you how to fall to your level of preparation. Another one of those days where it's like, been the keys. Happy Labor Day, by the way, recording this September 1st, Labor Day, Monday, 2025. So me and my girl, we took a trip down to the Keys, the day trip down to the Keys that turned into an overnight situation because we didn't feel like driving all the way north for one night. So it's a great, still on vacation mode here. And probably the live stream won't be, maybe considered. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. About to check in now, get everything situated now. But we're still going to do what we got to do. You already know, we still going to grind. We still going to make sure we ask our Make It Move Monday kickoff question, regardless of the situation, regardless of where you're at. That's the power of systems. That's the power of developing a system day in and day out in which you can build from. You have to develop that system on your own that's working harder than you. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you know what the system is working harder than you. And that's what it's all about. It's implementing, creating a system, folks. All right. So as far as this week's theme and today's Make Your Move Monday kickoff question and the theme of the week and what we're going to be discussing all week, starting today, again, whenever I get a chance to get on my computer and hit the live stream, which you may or may not be listening to this very recording from, we're talking all about algorithms, right? What is in your algorithm? What is in your algorithm? Now, later on, again, when the article's in front of me, I'll define the algorithm term like BSM. I call it BSM. Algorithm before social media, right? Before social media. But we're going to take the original meaning of the word algorithm and then combine it with what the algorithm word means now in it whenever you start scrolling, whether you scroll YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever new thing that there is out there. Whenever you're scrolling, these apps and these technology devices are trained, or ChatGPT, whatever it is now, whatever the new thing is now, they're trained to give you or recommend certain things to you. And just because it's constantly being fed to you, eventually you're going to click on it. So we're going to make sure that the right things are in our algorithms, things that are going to promote positivity, things that are going to be conducive to your development, things that are going to be making it. So yes, we're all, again, and all of us need entertainment too. That's actually a part of it as well. I was listening to a couple of the takes on, there was some issues between my favorite football player of all time. It might be the greatest football player of all time, Ray Lewis. There's a little mix up between him and Shannon Sharp that a lot of influencers have commented on in terms of that. And yes, there's been some sort of a tie-in between education and entertainment and how to go about doing it and what are you going to do to entertain people and lift somebody up. All those things we're going to discuss, whether it's today and we're going to get into it this week. So the main question for me, again, if you're new around here, this is how it works. I'll pose the question and I answer it for myself. What's in my algorithm? You're going to see a lot of motivational speakers, a lot of, just business, what's new in business, and a lot of football, in particular, Michigan football stuff that pop up on my algorithm every day, which is why I consume it so much, and why I'm able to continuously grow, continuously create content, quality content at the frequency in which I create the quality content, to the point where I've learned and I've had conversations with people in my inner circle to where I have to start kind of simmering it down or slowing it down a little bit to make sure the quality content goes directly to the people that I want seeing it on a day in and day out basis, which again, if you don't have the content, if you don't put it out there, you can never get the quality advice back. So you get out of it what you get into it. And that's really the main thing when we're talking about what is in your algorithm and what's important to have in your algorithm and all those kinds of things. All right. So again, all that being said, I can't tell you exactly what time I'll be jumping on the live stream today. Just know it'll be happening. In fact, what I'll probably do is I'll make this video public as the live stream goes. So again, main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work, particularly in the employee development space, to makeyourmove.com. That's MakeYamove.com. One-stop shop for your teamwork and your self-development needs. Good morning. Happy Labor Day Monday to everyone out there. As one, Crookshank here, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player and current 5-time, soon-to-be 6-time published author and educator. Back again for another week on a holiday. See, this is what we do around here. We do not take days off. Whether you're actually jumping on here, there's always a mental strategy. There's always something that you can be doing in regards to putting yourself out there if you really want to be in the content creation game, if you really want to be in that game where you're writing your own ticket, where you believe developing your own style, developing your own brand, and developing your own ways of doing things. If the system is conducive, if the system is something that you enjoy, and if you're actually putting out quality work, you're going to want to do it. It's not going to be something that somebody has to tell you. You're going to want to do it, whether it's a holiday or it's just a regular Monday. So every Monday here over in the Move Swiftly world, what we do, like I just mentioned, is a Make Your Move Monday kickoff question. Everything we do around here, we stem from the football world. So just like a football game starts with a kickoff, we start every single week with a kickoff question. And we are going to talk all about algorithms. Yes, algorithms, the term that was brought to me back when I was first learned math in probably middle school, somewhere around middle school or high school time. They talked about algorithms and formulas and a bunch of shit that I really didn't pay much attention to until it became a thing that you can apply to the football field and how you do things and what kind of systems do you operate from, what is constantly being fed to you. Are you actually putting the right stuff in your mind, in your body, in order to get what you want out of your mind and out of your body and all that kind of stuff? So before I get into today's article, as always, let me get through a few announcements and then we will jump right in. First things first, if you are, like I mentioned, for you business owners, what we do around here, again, the Move Swiftly, where I didn't even mention this in the intro, but Move Swiftly, the brand I created, Move Swiftly, is all about taking the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and aligning them with businesses and business owners. So you have a staff and or a group of employees that moves as efficiently, as cohesively, has that passion, has that dog, has that mentality, has that hunger, has that drive. Right? We see a lot of college football this weekend. Do you see what I'm talking about? Do you see the passion that these young men played with? Do you see the cohesiveness? Do you see the audience? Do you see there's everything going on in the college football world? You want that in your business. You want your staff, you want your group of employees moving with that kind of passion. All right. That's what we do over here in the Move Swiftly world. And step number one, in order for you to get there is to go to freeguide.makeitmove.com. That is freeguide.makeitmove.com. We work from a very simple formula around here. Again, we're going to be talking about algorithms all week. But the formula is number one, establishing measurables, adding that to a professional distance, and aligning that with a productive environment. Okay, you will not get the productive environment without those two things, without a measurable and a professional distance. You can't be all buddy with people, and then the measurables have to get met. You have to know, what the hell am I coming into this business? What is the expectation of me today? Not the expectations of me 3 or 4 months from now, but today. What the hell do I need to get done today? If you have those two things, that leads to the productive environment. That's the formula that we work from around here. Again, that is freeguide.makeyourmove.com. That is freeguide.makeyourmove.com. Just click the button there and you'll get create a 10-step process in order for you to use that right now. All right. Now, if you are like our favorite people to work with around here are the folks that say, look, bump all that free stuff I was on. I want to pay someone. I want to pay you to get that mentality that you got, that passion that you have. I want you implementing that in my staff. I want you teaching my staff how to develop that, and I want to pay you to do that. Those are the people that we love around here. Right? So the number one, folks, straight up. Simply go to makeyourmove.com. That's makeyourmove.com. Hit the shop now button. You'll see where you can purchase books. You can purchase the workshops. You can book a meeting with me. Also for boxing lessons, all sorts of things. All that stuff is on makeyourmove.com. Go to the Innovative Teamwork tab, and let me just read it off for you before we get to the article today. Turn your business into a championship team. It is common knowledge that the best way to win in business or in life is by avoiding ways to lose. Whether you've just started a new business or you've been in business for quite some time, there's no getting around the need to hire or outsource certain elements of your organization so things can run as efficiently as possible. When you book your meeting with Oswan, he'll diagnose what the issues are with your current system and then strategically create a system in which will lead to a reduced amount of turnover or a clear understanding of the parts of your business that need to be outsourced. That is makeyourmove.com. All right, so let's jump into the article today, folks. We have quite a topic. Make your move kickoff question. What's in your algorithm? Let me get everything pulled up here in a second, and we will get the show started. What's in your algorithm? So, just real quick, what made me come up with this topic? I'll dive into it a little later on this week on Wintrepreneur Wednesday, but there was several debates that caught my attention. This new company that I've never heard of, a new, I guess, a media platform called Jubilee Media Platform that caught my attention this week, where you have one person who is on one side of an argument, and they're debating around 25 different people. Now, myself, I've always been, growing up, I've always been the person that's getting into arguments, getting into debates. And it's usually, most of the time, it's me versus another person. I'm used to being the one kind of getting ganged up on, even in my own household. It'd be me versus my sister, my father, my mother. And, it'd be just conversation, just one at the end. I have to figure out ways in which I can hold my own in arguments and stuff like that. Go to school the same way. Look, when you grow up with the name like As One, Crookshank, you got to figure out how to speak up for yourself in certain ways. And you also have to kind of get used to going against the grain, learning things, and just being on the opposite side, and not even necessarily disagreeing all the way with people, but making sure you're seeing both sides of an argument. Sometimes just seeing both sides of an argument makes it so, oh, you just disagree with that. But there's some people who are so stuck in their own ways, who are so stubborn and so ignorant that just because you want to see what somebody else is thinking, you want to maybe get the idea of how somebody else is thinking in an argument, all of a sudden you're against them. That's how stuck and stupid some people are. That's how stuck in their own ways some people are. So I've always been the person that wants to see both sides of an argument, and that ultimately makes me a person that's adversarial or contentious or whatever it is people want to call me or label me as. But that's why I'm able to create the things I'm able to create, because I can see things in both from multiple perspectives. Again, if you were to look at my playlist in terms of music and the kind of things, I can go from, DMX to Miley Cyrus to Coldplay to Tupac to Biggie to, Adele, you name it, man. Just yesterday I actually went to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Jimmy Johnson has a restaurant out here in the Keys, which is what made me want to come out here to the Keys. And the guy who was doing the live music, he was playing some Tom Petty, so I was listening to that this morning on my run. And waiting is the hardest. I'm a weirdo like that. Again, I'm a weirdo, and because of that, you're able to. Because of that, there's a lot of just disagreements that I'm used to getting into. So anyway, I say all that because one of the things that popped up on my algorithm was this debate show that Jubilee Media has. And again, we'll talk about them and their story and what that platform is all about on Wednesday. But I just enjoyed the way that the people who had their side of the arguments, the one that I had to watch that whole hour and hour and 40 minutes was, I believe it was, what's her name? Her name is escaping me right now. It is, she's really strong on pro-life, right? And again, I'm a person when it comes to abortion. The name is going to hit me probably later on, but Lara Rose, that's it. Lara Rose is her name, Lara Rose. And I've listened to her a lot because I'm incredibly pro-life. She runs an organization that's all about being pro-life and giving women options of not getting an abortion, right? And giving women the choice to say there's adoption, there's resources, there's this. So much of her resources, so much money is put. Lara Rose is her name. So much of what she's about, the reason I know who she was is because she popped up on my feed as someone who is against abortion. I mean, there's been some debates where she's been around men who have really given it to her, and she's been able to hold her own. So I watched that entire hour long 40-minute show. And I strongly recommend you guys watch it. But she held her own, and there were some people telling some horrific stories, but she went right at it and all that stuff. So I was like, man, if my algorithm didn't already have this predisposed and the YouTube recommended this video for me, then I probably would have never watched it or never seen it. And that's where, having a good algorithm of putting the right things in your making sure you're putting the right things in your system, that's where it can be beneficial. However, there's also a flip side to that where you can only have a lot of gossipy bullshit and stuff that, is not helping you. You can consume only one side of many many different things, and ultimately that can hurt you. So there's a lot we're going to discuss today, whether I get to it all or not, but throughout this entire week, we're going to make sure you as the business owner and you as the person who is responsible for making quality decisions and putting the right things in your head and helping people develop, you got to make sure your shit is right. Make sure your algorithms are on point. Make sure you are having the right things that you're consuming on a daily basis so you can give others. See, myself, I have to be in a situation. I have to be a person who's constantly positive. It doesn't matter what's going on in Oswald's personal life. When I show up to school and teach every single day, these kids don't give a damn about that. They're like, hey, Oswald, come on, Mr. Oswald. We need that energy. We need that positivity. We need that person that's going to show up and, give us the encouragement and yell at us and encourage us and all that kind of stuff. So that's a long way of explaining exactly what we're going to be developing and talking about throughout the entire week. So let's jump into the article as we go. All right. Make Your Move Monday kickoff question. What is in your algorithm? And just to answer it just off the image, as you can see, so the way I got this image, and I'll tell you guys right now, all right, I simply went to my YouTube page and I went to my homepage and I just took a screenshot of exactly what's in my algorithm, all right? And I'm going to get into it throughout the article, but as you can see, this is exactly what it looks like. It's Anton Daniels right there, stuck in a 30-year mortgage right there. That's the first thing that popped up when I just research in terms of all the stuff that I look at. You have Anton Daniels talking about, the best ways of buying houses and some of the things that you got to be doing in terms of investments and some of the things that you really just got to be careful of in terms of, hey, do you just get a place? Do you do this? All sorts of things that I've picked up on. And I only started listening to Anton Daniels just about a year ago when I heard him say something about Trump and come out. When I heard him give his thoughts on the election, it was something I agreed with. And I end up, I don't think there's been a day that I've gone by where I haven't caught on some videos or something that he said that really, makes it so I tune in. Second thing, as you would probably expect if you consume my material for a period of time now, a lot of Michigan football stuff. Now quickly, because if I start talking too much about them, I'll get off topic. But I'll quickly comment on what I thought, my thoughts on how the game went. I wasn't necessarily happy. I'm happy with the win. We played New Mexico. But I didn't feel that Michigan football, let's just dominate these dudes. I thought we went off a little bit. But again, we got a big one this week against Oklahoma. It's going to be the game of the week. It's a huge one. So we'll see where we're at when we play Oklahoma. So as you can see, again, watch a lot of Michigan football stuff. And then the Cracker Barrel stuff. Again, any recent, business news, I try to keep up with a lot of that. You see a high school football game. You see a person, I don't even know who this person is, but it's the thumbnail is a speak like a CEO. Again, this is just stuff that YouTube is recommending that I watch. And then a perfect for every terrain and, ads about just running in the morning and doing all that kind of stuff. So that's my algorithm. That's kind of the things that are always popping up. And if you see the top, you see quarterbacks, podcasts, news, music, mixes, NBA, colleges, dramedy, playlists. That's all sorts of things that YouTube, and whether it's YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, or I don't even have a Twitter account, but whatever these scrolling things are, they're going to eventually recommend things that you are constantly listening to. All right. So all that being said, let's get into the article. We're going to cut today's live stream around 30 to 35 minutes because I'm still actually here at the Keys, as you heard earlier in the video, and there's a key lime pie place that I am now. My girl has me really, my mouth is watering for the shit now, so I gotta make sure we get it for that because I want to try it now. Now I was always the one that's like, hey, I'm not gonna eat healthy. I'm not gonna do that key lime pie stuff, but I caught a little whiff of that at the Big Chill last night. I'm like, look, man, I might have to try that shit. So, all right, let me jump to it because I'm getting off topic. All right, happy Labor Day. A quick reflection. All right, Labor Day has always been more than just a holiday for me. 2 years ago, I wrote an article called Detailed Buffing. Read it here. it's still, to this day, the detailed Buffin article still gets traction. I can tell you when I wrote that. I wrote it while I was at CC. It was during the summer, and I just 2 years ago, I just started writing again because, again, for me, writing is how I got in the game. You know, just putting my thoughts on paper. Writing is like a form of therapy for me. So it was the summer, and I was, you know, getting back into it because I was really getting myself established at CCE. So I was writing these articles, and I was only putting them out once a week. And I remember I was already like ahead. So I wrote the Labor Day article somewhere around June or July, because I knew, like, in my mind, it was only going to be coming out every single Monday. So mentally, I was like, okay, this Monday is ready, this Monday is ready, this Monday is ready. I was always like batching the stuff. So it's called Detail Buffing. And still to this day, I still see people commenting on that particular article. All right. Still gets traction to this day. In that piece, I talked about the pride that comes with hard labor, the precision it takes to do your job at a high level, and the humility to be the person people call when they can't or won't do the work themselves. Society often sells us on the idea of success, of what success looks like: a corner office, a six-figure salary, and comfort. But here's the reality: being truly good at what you do, really good, still matters more than the title on your business card. The foundation ties perfectly in today's kickoff question. What's in your algorithm? All right. Before we dive in, let's set the stage with some definitions. Algorithm in general. All right, this is coming straight from the dictionary. The meaning of algorithm is a process or set of rules to be followed in calculations of or problem-solving operations, especially by a computer. That is the general rule of what an algorithm is. Let me read it again for the people all the way in the back. All the way in the back, all right? It is a process set of rules to be followed in calculations or problem-solving operations, especially by a computer. So there's just a process. This is how things happen. Algorithms, that's what it means. Now, as I mentioned in today's Move Swiftly Thought, there's that was BSM. When you say algorithm, yo, what's in the algorithm? Now people are talking about social media and what it's all about, what's popping up on your feed, what are you consuming on a day in, day out basis. Algorithm, social media, a set of computeral rules used by platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok to decide what content shows up in your feed, aiming to personalize your experience and maximum engagement. Let's let this one sit for a second. Let's let this one sit on your brain a little bit, because it's a heavy hitter. It's an absolute heavy hitter when you really think about the shit that you consume all day. All right, a set of computeral rules. All right. Used by platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok to decide what content shows up in your feed, aiming to personalize your experience and maximize engagement. So here is that in a kind of just a simpler terms. All right. What content shows up in your feed, aiming to personalize your experience. So there's a lot of data. There's a lot of really smart software engineers that are working somewhere where you don't know. I mean, really, really intelligent people that make it so these apps and these platforms are able to grab information, whether you click on something, what they see you constantly clicking on, that is the stuff that they're saving and storing and putting somewhere in order to put back out. So you're constantly getting certain things that are going to draw your interest. They're meant to keep you on there. You have done it. I've done this many times where you might just pop up this app just to check something out. Before you know it, you're on your phone scrolling this app for a whole hour goes by. And you're like, holy shit, I didn't get what I said I was going to get done, because they had brought to me some things that I was interested in. I watched this one video. Again, it's happened to me, whether it's, sometimes I go on there and next thing you know, I'm on there listening to it, whether it's Anton Daniels or some Brandon Tatum, or something happens in the Michigan football world and I'm locked in on them, like especially when we were in trouble, like all that sign stealing stuff, when Michigan was in the news, like every single day there was something coming up with Michigan football, whether it's sign stealing with Connor, so many things, Connor Stalions. I mean, when we won the championship that year, my entire feed was just Michigan football, and I couldn't get away from it because it was just, the story was just ongoing over and over and over again. And that's what these platforms do. They're meant to keep you on there longer and longer, because they can go to advertisers and they could charge more to say, look how long people are staying on these apps. And that's how the system works. That's why they're being sold for billions and billions of dollars in terms of the offer. In fact, speaking of, it was Dre who brought this to my attention, but was Snapchat. I think it was Snapchat and WhatsApp. I think it was either Snapchat or WhatsApp that Facebook had bought. I think it was Instagram. Before Instagram, it was Snapchat and WhatsApp, or one of them. But long story short is, the Facebook was able to do certain things like stories. They were able to do stories, like they have the actual technology to do stories and all that, but they were willing to pay Snapchat, or I think no, because they already have WhatsApp. I think they were willing to pay Snapchat a couple $2 billion to get to get access to their software. But the thing is, they could have, even though they could have did it on their own, they wanted Snapchat's audience. They wanted the users that Snapchat had already had, and that's why they were willing to pay it. So they, again, even though they had the technology to do it on their own, they wanted to pay somebody that already created the audience and already had the people that were on it. And that's the way, that's how these algorithms work. When they work together, they're constantly personalizing the experience, and the data is constantly being kept. I can tell you from experience, every time I go into ChatGPT now at this particular time, they know what I'm going to ask. They know, like, they ask me back, hey, what do you want for Make Your Move Monday? What do you want to do for Top 5 Tuesday? What do you want to do for Wintrepreneur Wednesday? Like, they know every single week that's what I'm going to be producing, but it still takes a human brain to actually set your systems in place so you can utilize these platforms to the best of your ability. That's what needs to happen. Again, it's always going to go back to the human brain. It's always going to go back to what exactly you want out of your life, what exactly you want out of your business, and what are you willing to ask them? What kind of experience exactly do you want to have out of the 24 hours that you've been given? All that shit is on you. If you want to listen to bullshit and, listen to people gossip and listen to people fight and all that shit, fine, go right at it. Or do you want to put something out there in your brain that's actually productive, is going to put you in a better situation than you were before? That the door's open for that too. But you got to make a damn decision. You're either getting better or you're getting worse every single day. And that's going to be relative to your experience of what exactly you want out of your life. All right. So 2 most important phrases here that stand out here are set of rules and followed. All right. Set of rules and followed. Your feed isn't random. It reflects what you consume, who you engage with, and ultimately what you value. So here's the real question. What's hitting your algorithm, and is it helping or hurting your growth? My algorithm, as I've mentioned, again, I'm going directly back. I'm reading directly to the article. What I do, if it's your first time consuming here, I personally write an article to keep me on track as I'm speaking, because as you could tell, I could get on a topic and I go all over the place. So I make sure I have the articles written so I can look at it. So it keeps me from going too off base here when I start rambling sometimes. So when it comes to me, again, I'm just letting you guys know this. I'm going to read it directly, and eventually these articles are going to be in the book format so you can read it on your own and stuff like that. I want to make sure I'm just giving you that context. But my algorithm, I'll just say it again. When I open my YouTube, my Instagram, my Facebook, my feed is filled with college football debates, especially Michigan football, non-mainstream sports breakdown. All right, so here's one I gotta address: non-mainstream sports breakdowns, and I'll probably close you guys out in a couple minutes here. But non-mainstream sports breakdowns are not the shit that you see on ESPN, where they're only talking about the quarterback. They're only talking about the things that make the highlight reels. Like if you watched the Miami versus Notre Dame game last night, I'm sure you saw that one-handed catch with my man. Great play, unbelievable play, but the game wasn't won or lost because of that one play. But the mainstream media is going to just talk about that one play. It's probably going to win an ESPY for, the play of the year or something like that. It's going to get replayed literally hundreds and millions of times over the next couple months because it was that good of a play. But if you watch the game, you're going to see what the offensive line did, what the D line did, how they closed the line of scrimmage, who got the first down, the field position, all sorts of things, all sorts of twists and turns went into winning and losing that game, which is what made me start Film Session Saturday, which is why I listen to whether it's Coach JB or Chase Daniels, the people that are actually watching the film, breaking down the film and say, this is what won and lost Miami the game. It was based on how the line played, based on the routes, based on, what the coach called during this situation, how they used their timeouts, what was the strategy. All of that stuff is what I'm more interested in consuming because of what what allows me to do on my end. So non-mainstream sports breakdown is another thing that has helped me, absolutely tremendously helped me. And I'm saying all this to you because as you as a business owner, you're trying to figure out your way, you're trying to figure out your lane, you're trying to figure out what it is you need to be doing. You got to really work hard on finding the people that you're getting value from, because you don't know everything. You're not perfect. There's always something that you could be learning from somebody else. All right. So non-mainstream sports breaks down. Business focused creators like Anton Daniels and Dre. I was just actually watching before I started this. I was watching some of Dre's live streams. So Dre Baldwin, this isn't by accident. I intentionally curate my algorithm to make sure what I see fuels my creativity and supports the work I do on the Move Swiftly platform. How do I do it? This is an important part too. How do I do it? I mute or block accounts that drain my focus. I do this regularly. I have a very itchy block finger button. I will mute people that say some bullshit that I can't, because instead of getting into like some debates, I'll either mute them or block them, because there's just a lot of people that I would happen to read some stupid shit that they put online. It's like, you know what? I shouldn't even be reading this dumb shit right now. Let me mute or block that person. I follow the creators who sharpen my thinking. I study content that pushes conversations forward. So recently, and this is what I was mentioning before, I stumbled onto Jubilee Media, a platform hosting bold social debates. In just a few episodes, they've sparked ideas about how I can level up my channel and bring more engaging, thought-provoking discussions to my audience. All right, so that's what Making Move Monday is all about. Let me just preview what we're going to be discussing tomorrow and throughout the week. Tomorrow, Top 5 Tuesday. There's a way to do it. We'll dive into the top 5 ways to create a productive algorithm. Number 1, you got to be a creator, not a consumer. But 2, limit who you follow. Know your time limits, participate when it adds value, and welcome the negative comments. We're going to dive deeper into that as we get into Top 5 Tuesday tomorrow. Wintrepreneur Wednesday, I did my own research on Jubilee Media and how it started, so I'll be diving into that on Wednesday. Final word: your algorithm shapes your perspective shapes your decisions, and your decisions shape your future. So as you scroll today, ask yourself, is your feed feeding you or is it draining you? All right. As always, be sure you're liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing this channel out to anybody that needs to hear it. Anybody that needs to hear it. I had an incredible conversation last night about this channel with my girl in terms of just where the focus needs to be and how I need to be doing it. So I'm super pumped as we get into this. We're in the first day of a new month, and we're getting closer. I mean, you're going to blink and it's going to be 2026. You got to be asking yourself, am I putting myself on that path to be ready for 2026? Because it's coming. Whether you're ready or not, it's going to be coming. So get your ass ready right now. With that being said, main website to check out to dive deeper into all the work I'm doing, it's makeyourmove.com. That's makeyourmove.com. One-stop shop for your teamwork and your self-development needs. As one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker. Check it out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.